Gave up a TV job to start a podcast in your basement. If that doesn't scream midlife crisis, I don't know what does.
It was Championship Sunday here in Indianapolis. What's the mindset then coming in as a defending champion?
I want to win. No, I want to win.
The young lady over my shoulder, Caitlin Clark.
Not the best looking guy. And I don't think anyone's going to sit here and say, Matt Randazzo was really good looking.
What has this last month, 2 months, 3 months been like for you? It's an important fan base for the Fighting Illini, isn't it?
It is.
He turned 69 years young last week. He looked good, Coach.
Oh, try it. Thank you.
Welcome to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Monday in the Quad Cities. It's Monday, August 11th. Happy Monday. Thank you guys so much for joining us. The new week is officially upon us. Hopefully everyone had a great weekend. It was a outstanding weekend in the Randazzo household. I want to thank everyone who reached out for several reasons to me over the weekend. We'll get to that in a second. But if you're watching us live on YouTube, that's awesome. Thank you. Continue to do that. If you haven't subscribed, do that. That helps us out a ton. Like, comment, all those things help us do what we do each and every day. Also, tell a friend or two about what's going on here each and every day right here in the Quad Cities. Also, we are live on X. X, always very good to us. So thank you if you're watching on X. And then the podcasting platforms are doing well as well. So if you don't get the show live, if you don't want to watch it, if you want to check it out via the podcasting platform, which a lot of people do. Go ahead to wherever you get your podcasts. Check out Off the Air with Matt Randazzo each and every weekday, 10 o'clock live, but check it out anytime on the podcasting platforms as well. I got to thank the University of Iowa one more time for helping us on Friday. We did our show live in the afternoon, Off the Air with Matt Randazzo, live from Iowa Football Media Day. And it was a ton of fun, a big success, nothing to do with me. The guests were outstanding. Matt Weitzel and his crew helped us out a ton, lining up players and all those kind of things as well. So we were live in Iowa City. If you're an Iowa fan and you missed it, you got to go check it out. We had Kirk Ferentz, QB1 Mark Gronowski, Kyler Girardi and Nolan DeLong, a couple of Quad City area kids on set with us. Yosei Epinesa joined us live on set as well. Addison Ostranga, the starting tight end for the University of Iowa, joined us as well. Pat Anger was with us at the beginning. Tom Kakert stopped by. Jake Kidwell stopped by. So it was a lot of fun. Of course, I do want to thank everyone who's reached out over the weekend because I did announce, or Pat helped me announce at the very beginning, that I will be the pregame host for the Iowa Football Radio Network this year. Super excited about it. Humbled by it, all of those kind of things that you could think of. So that will get rocking and rolling real soon. The season less than 3 weeks away. So doing the show live in Iowa City, and then also thinking ahead to the radio stuff. Kind of got those like butterflies or nerves I used to get maybe 25 years ago when I was just starting to do this kind of stuff. So that's exciting as well. So I'm excited to see how the next 3 weeks unfold, and getting ready to do my first show, or the Hawkeye Tailgate show, not my show, the Hawkeye Tailgate show coming up on the Hawkeye Radio Network. Less than 3 weeks from right now, August 30th, August 30th. It'll be 3 p.m. because Iowa welcomes Albany at 5 p.m. kick. So, so thank you for everyone who's reached out and on all those kind of things. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you to Corey Sheets for allowing me this opportunity. Thank you to Pat Anger for encouraging me and all those kind of things. I don't thank Pat enough ever, but enough. So it'll be a bunch of fun. So go check out that show. It was something we're really proud of. It worked out great. Hopefully we get to do more things like that in the future. And so since starting the show, we've taken it to Oscars for the first round of the NFL draft. We've taken it to the John Deere Classic in Andrew Lehman's office for 3 days of the John Deere Classic, and we took it to Iowa City. So It's shocked that it all worked. I can't thank Dane Miller and my buddy Ian Jacobs enough. More Dane technology-wise, and Kiddo, you know why, but Kiddo for everything else. So they've allowed me, and Dane's taught me how to do this nonsense. So and continues to do that as well. So a lot of fun. Really love the show. Go check it out. But that was Friday. Let's talk about today's show. We got a lot to get to. I'm super excited about my first guest coming up in just a few minutes. Former Rockridge standout Luke Johnson is now a college football coach, and he's now a college football defensive line coach at Colorado State. Colorado State will be joined to the Pac-12, I believe, next year. The road to getting to where he's at is amazing. He's 28 years old. I remember covering him here in the Quad Cities, an awesome athlete for Rockridge High School, both football, but basketball as well. So we're going to catch up with him, talk about his story, how he got to where he's at with Colorado State. That's coming up in a matter of moments. You're going to love that. Also, we're going to continue our OTA high school football previews. We started them last week, got through 8 schools last week. We're going to do a school from Iowa and a school from Illinois every single day here on the show. Stay in the Western Big Six today and check in with my good friend Fritz Dieudonne in hour number 1. We'll check in with the Rock Island Rocks. And then in hour number 2, Alex Berg with Davenport Central will join us as well. Really gotten to know both those young men recently in the last couple of years, both doing great things. Love them as individuals, but like what they do with their programs as well. So we'll get you caught up with all that, because high school football season, 2 weeks from this Friday. We'll start telling you and kind of unveiling the things that we're going to do for Off the Air on Fridays, probably later this week, but excited about it. Probably going to be taking the show on the road again a lot. So hopefully that all works, but a lot of fun stuff. High school football season right around the corner. So all that coming up on today's show. Before we get going, I want to check in on some news and notes from the weekend. There's a lot to get to. Cardinals beat the Cubs 2 out of 3 games. So the Cubs, I think 5 back. I didn't look this morning, but I think 4 or 5 back. I don't know what Milwaukee did yesterday. I didn't look. Good planning, right? So the Cubs with some work to do, as we're now getting mid-August. So the season getting shorter. That race and the Brewers kind of distanced themselves last week. See if the Cubs can get back on track. The Bears' first preseason game. No Caleb Williams. Not a lot of starters at all. But they tied with the Dolphins. I've talked to Bears fans. I'm going to get in trouble for this. I don't love that. I think with a new coach, new system, and I know you don't want to get anybody injured. I get that. And people asked me, Bears fans have asked me, did the Lions play their starters? They never play their starters and haven't for years. But they've been in the system for a while. And I think Caleb Williams, those weapons, those receivers could use a series or 2 in the preseason. That could happen. That could happen coming up, but they tied with the Dolphins. No one cares about the score. So Bears football is officially back. We'll continue to talk about that over the next several weeks as well. But the big football game that I want to talk about a lot this morning is the Steamwheelers. They played for the Eastern Conference Championship on Saturday night down at Vibrant Arena. Got to take the boys down there. Saturday was my birthday, so my wife was out of town. We started our morning by taking a little road trip to Galesburg. We went down to Judy's Cafe. We've seen a lot about it on social media. So went down, checked it out. Good food. Loved the environment. So that was a lot of fun. Spent the day at the pool after that, and then went to the Wheelers game at night. And my boys had never been to a Wheelers game. I've been to several as a media member, but I shouldn't say never, because when I was in college and just out of college, I went as a fan. But it's been a long time since I went to a Wheelers game as a fan. And so went down there, and I cannot tell you guys, I cannot convey enough how much fun myself and my family and my boys had watching Steamwheeler football. Good crowd on hand, really nice crowd on hand, loud crowd, and it was an awesome game. It had everything you could possibly want with special teams, lots of offense, two really good football teams. I don't want to sit here and say that I know everything about the IFL and the Western Conference and what the championship game will be like, but Green Bay won 71-64. I think that was the championship game. I think those were the 2 best teams in the IFL We'll see what happens in 2 weeks when Green Bay plays out in Tucson. But the Wheelers came up short. They never didn't score. A few interesting calls maybe have went the wrong way. They've dealt with a few injuries along the way as well, including Rock Island's own and Augustana product, Jordan Vesey, who went out in the third quarter. So just not quite enough in the end. Came back from 13 down with like 3 minutes to go, scored and got the ball back and was in position to go ahead and win the game in the final seconds. And a safety call in the end zone cost them 2 points. And then Green Bay got the ball and the Wheelers never saw it again. So just an amazing time. And I want to talk about just the overall atmosphere because I had so many people, including the people sitting right behind me. And this is an exact quote. I am bought in. We are getting season tickets next year. And I heard that 3 times from people around me about what the Wheelers are and what they were this year and what they're going to continue to be. It's a fantastic product. It's fast paced, super talented dudes out there, big dudes running around in a small space, hitting each other hard, amazing touchdown catches. It was a Green Bay receiver had a ridiculous touchdown catch. So did the Wheelers players as well, but tons of fun to watch, and we had a blast. My boys loved it from the jump. They're going to go back next year. They wanted season tickets. I said, you might have to quit baseball in order to do that because some Saturdays are busy with that, but we will definitely be back. And I want to thank the Wheelers for the partnership we had this year. Getting to know their players, on a grander scale was fun for me. Yeah, I went to the media lunches all the time and games and got to know some of them, but we talked to the same players every week. And to get down into the roster and have Stud Rudd come out to the house and have Doug Bland, the owner, come out to the house. Still waiting for Coach Ross to come out to the house. I'm going to make him do that maybe this week sometime. But to have those guys and to get to know the players on the team as well was a ton of fun. And going down there, we talked about the atmosphere and the fun. The boys got my 2 youngest, the 2 on the left here. They were involved in a dance-off at halftime. They didn't quite win. The other 2 young men doing flips and all that kind of stuff. My 8-year-old Carson just hit the gritty, he told me, for 30 seconds. And that's exactly what he did. Chase did a great job as well. He says he finishes second as well. But those kind of things are going to be things my boys are going to remember for a long, long time. The finish, they're going to remember for a long, long time as well. So I guess in summary, hats off to the Quad City Steamwheelers this year. No, they're not the IFL champions. No, they didn't make it to the championship game. They won a ton of football games. They have a ton of talent. Corey Ross is as good as it gets. And it's a good rivalry between Green Bay. It's a really good rivalry that probably went up like that extra notch this past week because boy, I wish they played again next week. I'd be there. I know the Wheelers won't play them again next week, but they'll play next year as well, 3 times during the regular season and maybe in the postseason as well. So hats off to Destiny, to the general manager for the Wheelers, who does an amazing job for putting up with me all year, constantly texting her, who can I have, all that kind of stuff. Corey Ross, Doug Bland, the ownership group there. It was an amazing season. And I tell you that the fan base here in the Quad Cities has taken notice. I think this is the most engaged the fans have been in a long time, and that's saying something because they're always engaged. But I think the fan base grew. I know it grew on Saturday. I can tell you firsthand. I have huge ears, and I heard a lot of positive comments about what was going on and wanting to be back. The guys behind me were great. They're like, I'm invested. I'm all in. I'm getting season tickets next year. This is great. So my boys loved it, and hats off to the Wheelers, and hats off to what they did this season as well. Quad City Steamwheeler football, a ton of fun here in the Quad Cities. We got a lot to get to. Coming up, we're going to take a quick 30-second break, and then when we get back, we will be joined by former Rockridge standout Luke Johnson now the defensive line coach at Colorado State. We'll talk to him about his journey to getting there. It's amazing. You got to hear it. And then also look back at the memories from Rockridge and the Quad Cities as well. So you're watching Off the Air on a Monday right here in the Quad Cities. We'll be back in 30 seconds. Are you looking to take your next party, tailgate, or golf outing to the next level? You need mobile party experience. MPX features 3 top-of-the-line party trailers equipped with all the amenities you need to party like a rock star. Smart TVs, Yeti coolers, JBL sound systems, grills, bathrooms, and much more. Mobile party experience is an experience like no other. Check out my-mpx.com or call 563-514-1470 and book your mobile party experience today. Welcome back to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Monday in the Quad Cities. I love, one of my best parts of my job is for 25 years I covered young people and athletes in this area, and I love watching them do big things. Really a big fan of watching, the Division I athletes, any college athlete, any of the guys from this area or girls from this area that have made it at a big time level is always fun for me to watch. I feel like a proud papa, but almost like a grandpa because I'm that old guy these days. But there's a young man from Rockridge High School that is now coaching at the Division I football level. We're joined now by former Rockridge standout Luke Johnson. First and foremost, it's been too long. Great to see you. Hope everything's well, and we're going to talk about in a second. Things are really well, but thank you for doing this. I appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, Matt, it definitely has been a long time. I know you haven't responded to any of my texts throughout the years and all that. I've been reaching out, but no, man, I appreciate you having me on. This is awesome.
It's great because we talked before we went on. I think the last time I saw you was Ethan Happ's senior day in Wisconsin. You probably don't even remember seeing me, but that's just because I'm like that. I remember the little things, Luke. But obviously, I've loved covering your career at Rockridge, and you went on to play football up at Platteville, and just recently you became the defensive line coach at Colorado State, the Division I level. Dude, you're 28 years old. How in the world are you doing what you're doing right now? Tell me how all this comes about.
Yeah. Appreciate you saying all that. It's definitely been a whirlwind the last couple of weeks. So I went to Platteville, played there, went to school there from 2016 to 2019, had a blast. Wouldn't change that for the world, especially think about Division III athletics, nobody's on scholarship, nobody's, NIL wasn't even a thing back then. You're just doing it because you love it. And met some of my best friends, some of the best memories, wouldn't trade that for the world. Except for the couple injuries that I had, I would trade those in. But had an awesome experience. Graduated in December of 2019. Got my start at Wofford College right out of school down in South Carolina as a volunteer. So my first coordinator that I played for at Platteville, he was the coordinator down there at the time. And so he gave me a call. He knew I wanted to get into coaching. He said, I got a spot. You work with me. It's a volunteer role. I have a spare bedroom, do you want to coach or not? And so I did. And so at that point, I wasn't a big time college athlete. I didn't have family members in the coaching industry, and it was, hey, do you want in? And so you go for it. And so obviously 2020 was COVID. And so we didn't even play that fall. And so just spent that fall, we were practicing, I'm, green as can be, you think, you play football, you're like, yeah, I know what's going on. You get there and you're absolutely clueless, And so that fall ends. We play a spring season. We had some staff turnover. And so I actually got promoted to the outside linebackers coach. And so then I did that at Wofford through 2021. After the 21 season, took my first full-time job at the University of Sioux Falls in South Dakota, was the linebackers coach and the special teams coordinator. Loved it. Had a blast. Coaches, the kids, everything about it was awesome. Fully intended on being there for some time. We were 8-3, number 11 team in the country in Division II. having a blast. And so actually the whole staff got let go after the 2022 season, which was crazy. And so that's, I was really kind of at a fork in the road. I was 25, single, no kids. And it's like, okay, have some position coach experience, coordinated special teams. I'm still young enough. It's like, where do you go? Do you take another? I interviewed for a couple jobs at some schools in that same conference that I was just in Minnesota, and it was like, do I want to do that, or do I try to go, take a leap of faith, try to move up a level, and take a back seat, right? And a lesser role, but a higher level, and try to connect, try to learn. Because if, the opportunity to do that was, then in my life, that opportunity wasn't going to come again. And so was very fortunate enough. I had a lot of people in my circle that helped me and had a connection, and got on at Western Kentucky as a graduate assistant in 2023. So spent 2023 season there. Awesome. And then, so the linebackers coach there from Western takes a job at Baylor after the 2023 season. 2 months later, he calls me. And so spent the 2024 season last year at Baylor as a graduate assistant down in Texas. Unbelievable opportunity for me. Obviously, I had never been at that level before. It was awesome to see, learn, grow, all those things. And so this past off season in 2025, I didn't really want to be a GA anymore. It's not always up to you. And I was like, man, I've done this for a couple of years now. I'd like to get back in the chair and, be a position coach and do those things. And so, but I ended up getting promoted to assistant linebackers coach at Baylor. And I was like, okay, this is a pretty cool opportunity. I'm going to get to work hand in hand with the head coach, Coach Aranda, and the linebackers, a little bit bigger role. And I was like, okay, this is, I need to do this one. This is, a huge blessing. I'm good with, it'd be awesome to stay here another year. It's a great spot, great people, all those things. And so that was the plan. Spent the whole off season down in Texas, and was getting ready to go for Auburn week 1. And got a call a couple weeks ago from the defensive coordinator here, Coach Summers, at Colorado State, who was the coordinator that I worked for at Western Kentucky. And that's where it all kind of goes back to, man, is being where your feet are, doing a great job, being a good person for where you're at. And that's kind of what happens. He had an opening that he wasn't expecting, late in the year, a couple weeks before fall camp. And he called me on a Thursday night, asked me if I was interested. I said, yes. He goes, okay, you're interviewing tomorrow.
Oh, wow.
So ran back into the office, get something ready, interviewed with the head coach on Friday. I accepted it on a Saturday, and then I was in Fort Collins on Sunday night in the office. So it usually doesn't go quite that fast, but being, about 10 days out from fall camp, it was, do you want the job? Yes. Okay. We need you here tomorrow.
It's amazing.
So it was a whirlwind, but man, when you talk about the amount of help that I've had and the amount of people that have poured into me and pushed me, helped me, all those things, like everything that's happened for me has been because of someone else, whether that be family, friends, mentors in this profession. That's what it really all comes down to. And so, those are the people that I'm thankful for. And obviously that's, those are the people, those are the reasons why I was so lucky and fortunate to get an opportunity like this.
So you head out to Colorado and you get there, and obviously you hope they want you, but you got to want to stay there. You got to make sure this fits and this is the right. What was it about Colorado State when you got there that made you realize this is home, this is where I want to be, this is what I want to do?
Yeah. And it was hard for sure to leave Baylor, just because, for one, it was going to be nice to go into my second year somewhere. I've been moving and jumping, and that part has been a little exhausting. It's all been, I've been very fortunate for it. They've been great opportunities. But the people at Baylor were very, very good to me. Provided me with some awesome opportunities, a lot of growth, a lot of responsibility that I hadn't had before. And it was, that was huge for me. And I wanted to, obviously be there for them. It's never good when you leave obviously I'm getting here, there's a lot to do here, but at the same time, they're losing somebody too. And so it was, I was very lucky. I called, obviously the head coach and the coordinator and all the position coaches, and they're like, dude, go, that's an awesome opportunity. You need to be a position coach. You shouldn't even think about it. And I was, already on my way to doing the interview and doing all that stuff. But man, when Coach Norvell called me on the phone on Friday and we were interviewing that afternoon, you can just feel it from him, the energy, the culture, and everything I've ever heard about him has all been extremely positive, and just who he is as a person, as a man, as a leader, and all those things, and obviously a football coach. And I could feel it in the first 30 seconds of the Zoom call that we were on. And the other part of that too is coming into this defensive system. I've worked in this system before with Coach Summers at Western Kentucky, and so it was one of those things where after I got the job, I said, I know I have a meeting on Monday and I'm driving up on Sunday. Can you send me the install so I can at least look at it,
Sure.
And he sends it to me and I look at it and I'm like, I already
Let's
knew
go.
it. You know what I mean? So obviously that there was some comfort there. Anytime you're taking a job this late, it's nice to go into something you're familiar with when you don't have a ton of time to prepare. And so there was so many things about it. Obviously the location, Fort Collins is beautiful. It is an awesome town. It's gorgeous. Colorado State is completely set up to be successful, and they are only going up. They're actually moving into the Pac-12 next year, and so it's football is important here. The school is awesome. Coach Norvell, Coach Summers. It was a no-brainer. Everything you looked at it, and obviously I knew that. Anytime it's something this late, I still called the people who were important to me, my family, my mentors in the profession, and every single one was like, what are you even asking me? You know what I mean? Like
awesome.
There's that, that's a no-brainer. And so, man, awesome opportunity, and I'm definitely blessed for it.
When people hear the name Coach Norvell, obviously a former Hawkeye and someone who has ties with the University of Iowa, and heck, Coach Ferentz has been there for so long, going into year number 27. When people do talk about, and I've heard it, like of successors and who it may be, Coach Norvell's name comes up with those kind of things. And I guess my point is very extremely respected around the world of college football. I know it's a small sample size. You mentioned meeting him, but what's it like working and being around that guy every day, and knowing that at the age of 28, you got to be just a sponge right now when it comes to learning and growing your craft as well.
Yeah. I mean, you talk about a guy that's been around and done it for a long time at a really high level. It is hard not to have energy around him. I know that. He's been, like I said, around a long time and been extremely successful. And you'd think it's his first week on the job every day. You know what I mean? Like his energy is palpable. And man, it, like any program, it starts at the top. Like you can feel that with the staff, with the players. You go out to practice every day. We just had our first scrimmage the other day, which is practice 6. And, you kind of hit those dog days of camp. It's hot. They're sore, they're tired, and when you walk out, you wouldn't know it. The music's blaring, coaches are fired up, players are fired up. It's no different in the office, and so it's been an awesome culture here that he's built, and you can tell that has trickled down into the players and really the whole program.
You've mentioned, and I love the fact that you have mentioned your mentors. That's important to you and where you came from. And you came from here in the Quad Cities. You came from Highland, Illinois. You came from Rockridge High School. Go back to that maybe a little bit, because your football beginnings started right here in the Quad Cities. And I know those people at Rockridge High School were extremely instrumental in what you're doing today, I'm sure.
Oh man, again, like I said about my experience at Wisconsin Platteville, it's no different with where I grew up. That will forever be home, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. Still my best friends in the world. I came back home for the John Deere Classic. I was on vacation. I came back home, caught up with some of the guys, that you just don't get to see anymore. And it's always funny. You see those guys once a year, maybe once every couple of years. And as soon as you see them, it's like your seniors in high school again. You know what I mean? Nothing really changes, man. So no, I wouldn't trade it for the world. There were so many coaches, parents, administrators, all those people at Rockridge that provided me an opportunity, poured into me, all those things, and that's the deal. Like, it's hard. I mean, that's a lot of their time. They have families and they have all these other things that they could be doing, but they're giving that time and that energy and that effort to us, and that's stuff that I never forget, and I'm always appreciative for. And a reason why I wanted to do this. Obviously, everyone wants to be a football player or a basketball player. But at the end of the day, one day they tell you can't do that anymore. And so, you kind of have a choice, either, go do whatever you want, or coaching is about as close as you can get to it. And so, I knew really going into, my last season, that last semester at Platteville, I was like, I did 2 internships in college, and I was like, man, I don't know if this is for me. I don't know that I'm really ready to give it up. And so, yeah, all the coaches at Rockridge, and there's so many to name, but those guys, taught me so much, and there's still so many messages from them that I use with my players now, and one of them is a classic Toby Whiteman quote, and I'll leave out some of the color from the quote, but he would tell us all the time. He's like, I'll coach you how to do this, I'll coach you how to do that, whatever skill you need, I'll coach you hard, all these things, but I'll never coach attitude and effort. If you're not going to show up every single day with a great attitude, and you're willing to learn, and you're willing to work hard, and just, give everything you can for your teammates, then this ain't the gym for you. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, there's so many other stories from all those other awesome coaches that were there. But yeah, I wouldn't trade it, man. If you talk about still my favorite memories, ever in sports, they always come back to Rockridge. Because those are the guys you grew up with, you know what I mean? Those are the guys you cut your teeth with, and you hang out at school and outside of school and sports and all that stuff. And like, you talk about, there's been some awesome memories in coaching, some awesome wins, this, that, and the other. But like, you talk about, man, your favorite memories of sports, it always comes back to Rockridge for me, those football and basketball years with those guys.
You mentioned football and basketball. Now, that's the cool thing, is so many kids nowadays want to specialize. Hey, I'm a football player, I'm gonna go play football. And when you're at a school like Rockridge, you got to do as many things as possible. And it's funny, Rockridge has had so much success over the last decade or plus that I'm like kind of talking to you and Toby about now. He was a junior when Ethan was a senior, and of course we don't want to talk about Toby messing up that junior year, but senior year you guys go to state and all those kind of things. And then football wise, the success you had football wise, being a head coach, or not a head coach, but a position coach, but coaching at the highest level, Division I, as a coach, and looking back, you would encourage athletes to play and do as many things as they could do, wouldn't you?
Oh, 100%. And first of all, if Toby watches this, that, not on you, coach, not at all. No, you really would. There's plenty of stories out there. I have a player in my room right now who didn't start really playing football until like his senior year of high school. And he's 6'5", 6'6", super athletic, still kind of learning how to play the game, but he got recruited to play football off of his basketball tape. You know what I mean? And there was another great story of that, a guy that we're actually going to go play against at Washington week 1. He was a defensive end for us at Sioux Falls back in 2022 and really didn't play much football in high school, but he was a basketball player. And he went to a community college and realized, I want to play football, and sent out his basketball highlights from a year before to a bunch of colleges. Well, his first 8 plays on his basketball highlights were him dunking the ball, you know what I mean? And doing all these super athletic moves. And the tape got to, our staff at Sioux Falls, and they're like, you guys want to take this guy? And we're like, what do we got to lose? And he ends up being a Division II All-American, and now he's a starter at Washington, And so like all that stuff, man. Yeah, if you told me if I could go back and I just do football and I get to go to this school and do that, like I wouldn't trade those basketball years with Coach Whiteman, Coach Say, Coach Wynn, like all those guys. I would never trade that stuff. It was a blast. And I mean, I started playing basketball well before I started playing football, like in the off season, anytime we can get a noon hoop session in, like I'm the first one leading the charge. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So yeah, I absolutely encourage doing all that. Running track, especially for football, is great. Anytime you're recruiting a defensive back, a corner, a safety, and you're watching his high school film, the very next thing you ask is what are his track times? Because there's certain measurements there that they need to hit and we need to see, and no different when they come to camp. It's like, man, if you're coming to camp as a corner and you don't want to run the 40, well, that's a red flag, And so, yeah, being a multi-sport athlete, like, I know there's the specialized this and all the trainers and stuff like that. I went to a trainer in college as well, but like, I just think it's fun. It teaches you different movement skills, teaches you how to work on a different team with different people, different coaching styles. So to me, there's only benefits from it.
Absolutely. I do want to point out, if Coach Whiteman watches, come on, Toby's my biggest fan. Like, seriously, he's probably outside, like, waiting. I mean, I can't get rid of that guy. He loves me. So, Luke Johnson joining us right now, former Rockridge standout and the Colorado State defensive line coach, right now and off the air with Matt Randazzo. I can't let you go without talking to you about a buddy of yours, because you grew up with Ethan Happ, basically. You guys grew up across the street from each other. And here we are now, and Ethan's killing it professionally, playing overseas, a professional basketball player, and you're a Division I football coach. That's so rare that a street in Milan, Illinois, about 3 miles from my house right now, has that going for him. What was it like growing up with that dude and with that family? I know his brother and your brother and the four of you guys, and you're all knuckleheads. That's, you gotta be proud of yourselves to have, now that's pretty cool from that small area to be doing what you guys are doing right now. Yeah,
no, I appreciate you saying that. I know on my bio or whatever, when I was at Platteville and, whatever's on the website, it always says hometown is Milan, Illinois, but it's always South Milan. Right. And so,
absolutely.
And so growing up there, you just don't know how special it is until you get older. You think, everybody had that type of childhood, right? Like, oh, everybody had their best friends live and grow up in the neighborhood with them and play sports and go to elementary school, junior high, high school. And then, I'm sure all those guys, stick together when they get older. And it's just not the case. And you don't realize how lucky you are to be able to grow up with those people, not just the Happs and the Stevens and obviously my family, but also their parents, you know what I mean? The Happs and the Stevens parents were so good to us as well and supportive. And it was just awesome. And the coolest part about it is we all still talk weekly. We have a group chat that's been going forever. And so we actually, once a year in July, the six of us, the Happs, Johnsons, and Stevens, always get together for a little, yearly reunion, the six brothers.
Yeah,
and so,
awesome.
We did it in Chicago this year. We've done it the last 5 years in a row. And so, again, it's just like, some are married, some have kids, you know what I mean? Ethan is, in whatever country he's in now, and I'm, in whatever state now, and you know what I mean? But everybody always finds time to make it to that trip for that weekend to get together. And that's just so rare the older you get, to have the crew, not just your high school crew or your college crew, like the guys from day one, like we were playing front yard football when we were like 4, so it was awesome, man. Just growing up across the street from those guys. The Stevens are right down the road. The amount of pickup basketball games in the driveway and the barn, the front yard football. A lot of games did not end well. it would get hot. And it would be a little quiet on the bus the next morning going to school. But no, it was a blast, man. Same deal. Just I'm so lucky and fortunate for who I grew up around, my family, all the opportunities that I was presented with, just the experiences I got to have. And obviously that's part of why I like to do what I do is, all the people that helped give me those opportunities and those experiences. I want to try to do that for other people.
No, absolutely. What was that driveway like? And take me through growing up with it. Like we kind of talked, like you had to expand that thing as you guys got bigger, and obviously Ethan kept getting bigger and taller. How were those games? You could ball. You were a very good basketball player. In fact, Coach Whiteman kind of told me earlier last week that you probably could have played college basketball at somewhere. What were those games like? What was that driveway like? That thing's got to be legendary. I was over there once during COVID. Like Jordan Delp was working out Ethan Happ on a driveway because that's what everybody had to do during COVID. So I seen it once. That had to be a legendary court, wasn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is still the same concrete, still the same hoop, still the same ball that's out there. It was legendary. It was. And obviously when you're younger, I'm the youngest out of all six, and I was always the smallest too. And so, I just had to learn how to scrap. There's not much I could do growing up. I just had to try to scrap and find my way. And those guys would just bully me, but no, it was awesome, man. All the stuff like that. And really I look up to all five of those guys. Every single one of those guys is doing unbelievable things in their lives, extremely successful, great human beings. And really all five of them are like mentors to me and all guys that I look up to. And obviously people that again, I'm very lucky to be friends with, be family with, and kind of have that experience growing up with. But we weren't always that tight on that court either.
I was going to say, you're being too nice. I'm trying to get you. They're not even here now. You can talk trash and they can't even respond. But you look at you, the professional coach now. You always got to take the high road.
I would talk trash. I just didn't win a lot of games. I was the little guy out there, man. I was just trying to find my way.
I love it. Before I let you go, and I really appreciate you doing this, when it comes to that coaching career, and we mentioned just being a sponge and learning and going, and at 28 to be what you're doing is amazing, but is there an ultimate goal? Like when you entered this, did you say, I want to be a Division I head coach someday, or I want to be a NFL head coach someday? I want to be Dan Campbell, my Lions guy sitting right here with the bobblehead. What was the ultimate goal? And has that changed at all as you've continued that career?
Yeah, that's a great question. Anytime, I got into this and I'm like, okay, I think I'll start here and then, I'll probably be able to get this type of opportunity. And then hopefully that one will lead to there is no blueprint. There is no blueprint. And you find out that it changes immediately. And there's some guys that, whether they played in the NFL and were able to get an opportunity with a coach that they knew that maybe they played for, or, whatever the opportunity is, you know what I mean? Everybody's story is completely different. And their path is completely different. And no one is better than the other. It's just your path. And it's just funny, man. I thought, yeah, exactly what you said. I was like, oh yeah, I got it laid out and this will all fall into place. And then, 3 years later I was 25 and fired. And it's like, okay, what are you going to do? And so, no, it's in terms of an ultimate goal. I've always said I wanted to be a head coach. I knew I wanted to coach. I was like, I'd like to be a head coach at some time. Obviously, that's just a great honor in itself, to have a program, to have a school, have a program appoint you to that position and say, all right, it's your show, it's your people, it's all on you. Just to get that is obviously a huge honor at any level, at any school, whatever it is. I don't know that I necessarily have that one goal anymore. I'm just happy that I get to do this. You know what I mean? And I get these opportunities. I know that's cliche and that's probably not the answer you want, but
No.
I don't know, man. I'm kind of done. It's just been such a weird path for me and not kind of how I necessarily envisioned it, but same deal. I wouldn't want it any other way, because every spot, every lesson was so critical for me. And at every school, whatever the role was, whether it was position coach, coordinator, GA, you know what I mean? everything had its positives and negatives and something that I can take with me. And so a goal of mine is I do want to coordinate. I do want to call plays. That is something obviously I want to do. To be honest with you, I don't necessarily care where or what it's at. But I used to kind of in my head, like, especially when I was first getting in, it's like, man, I got to get this job here. I got to have this. You don't have to have anything. Like you get to coach for a living and you get to be around the game and you get to be around the guys. And I don't know. I tell people, I feel like I've never really left college, like I graduated, but I never really left. And you get to be around young people and the energy all the time. There's definitely, I'd say the days are long, but the years are definitely short. And there's some moments, there's some long plane rides back after a tough loss, and you got to get up back early again. And it's really hard. And you're like, man, my buddies are out golfing right now, and hanging out doing this or same thing in the summers. But then, when you get to do it, it's definitely worth it. And so in terms of an ultimate goal, man, I kind of gave up thinking about, man, I want to do this, or I got to go here. This is my next step. Like I'm at an awesome spot with awesome people. I get to go to work every day and love what I do. And at the end of the day, like that is the goal,
Yeah. One of my favorite quotes is be where your feet are. And I think your feet are in a good spot right now. So you keep being where your feet are and doing that, and good things will happen. I got a quick rapid fire questions for you. 4 of them. I do this with some guests. You'll love some of the questions. The other ones you got to answer. So I don't know if you like it or not. Okay. Place to eat here in the Quad Cities that you miss the most when you're back in the QC. It can be a couple, but it's like, I got to hit up here, and here. What's that?
So Arthur's Deli, number 1 for sure.
Okay.
That was always the top lunch spot. Me and my dad all the time. He worked at Mid-American Energy for a long time down there in Rock Island. And so we'd always hit up Arthur's, in the summers or whatever. And then another one would be Hungry Hobo.
Okay.
Man, I was a big Hungry Hobo guy.
They're a sponsor of my show. So I was hoping that you do that for me. I appreciate you doing that for me.
The sandwiches are awesome, but it's the cheddar fries.
Yeah.
It's the cheddar fries that get you.
Full disclosure, I just had some cheddar fries. So just so you know, I don't know, like that's probably something I shouldn't share, but 2 good choices. Well done. Okay. Most famous contact in your phone. If you looked at your phone, what's the most famous contact number you have? And you can't say me, obviously. That's not going to be number 1. But besides me, what's the most famous contact in your phone?
I was going to say Andy Say, but no, probably not.
You can find Andy's number on most stalls and most bathrooms in gas stations anywhere. So like that's not anything special. All right, I should be quiet now. Go ahead.
Shoot, man. Just the head coach that I just worked for at Baylor, Coach Aranda. For those that don't know, he is a figurehead of college football and specifically defense. He was the defensive coordinator at Wisconsin from 2013 to 2016. Out of his 3 years, I think 2 of them were number 1 defenses in the country. Went to LSU as a defensive coordinator. He was the coordinator when they won it with Joe Burrow and all those guys, Jamar Chase. He was the defensive coordinator for that team. And he is, really like a figurehead of defense. Like he evolutionized the game over the last decade. And so now, if people talk about simulated pressures and creepers, and it's all Coach Aranda stuff. And so, every day at Baylor, the fact that I got to go into a staff room with him for 5 hours a day and watch tape and listen to him game plan and do all these things, it's like sometimes I look around, I'm like, why am I in here? You know what I mean? Like cool. Why'd they let me in here? And so that's probably just me being a football nerd or whatever it is, but I remember because my mentor, one of my mentors is Sam Seifkes, who's the defense coordinator at Virginia Tech now. And so he was Coach Aranda's GA at Wisconsin.
Oh, wow.
And so he was my coordinator at Platteville. He came from Wisconsin to Platteville, and I played for him. And so all that stuff is how I got introduced to it. And I was like, man, this is some awesome stuff. He had a ton of success with it the last 10 years. And so now everybody does it. You know what I mean? Like it's completely taken over college football and that type of evolution. So I guess maybe it might not be that famous to other people, but it's definitely famous to me.
No, absolutely, absolutely. Okay, some tougher ones. If you're back in the Quad Cities and you're having some kids and Rockridge doesn't exist, you're going to send you have to send it to one of two places. You send your kids to Orion or Sherrard.
I knew that was coming.
It's the best way to put it. I don't want to say like which school do you hate the most. Like that's a bad way to do it. So it's
Sure.
like if you have to send it to one or the other, are you a Sherrard Tiger or are you an Orion Charger?
Sure. I would, if I can't plead the fifth, I'd probably send them to Orion. I like their color scheme better.
All right, well done. All right, last one. Better coach, Toby Whiteman or Andy Say?
No, you can't do that. I can't answer that one.
Come on
I
now.
can't answer that one.
Nothing.
I can't answer that one. They
Ty?
yeah. Tie. Definitely tie.
I'll let you, since you literally just gave me 40 minutes of your time almost, I'll let you off the hook with that. Luke, I really enjoyed this. Super happy for you. Feel free to text me back all these years when I text you Merry Christmas, Happy Birthday, all the things I've been doing. You've been ghosting me, but and get after your boy Ethan. He's been supposed to like be on the show. And he finds an excuse every once in a while. So get after him for me. But super proud of you. Keep doing what you're doing. We'll stay in touch and great. Best of luck this year at Colorado State. We appreciate you.
Yeah, I really appreciate you having me on, Matt. Thank you.
All right. That is Luke Johnson, former Rockridge standout, now a defensive line coach at Colorado State. We got more to get to. You're watching Off the Air on a Monday right here in the Quad Cities. All right, be honest. Are you craving Hungry Hobo again? You know, that fresh sliced meat piled high on those amazing sandwiches, hot off the grill chicken and steak with all those delicious toppings, the biggest and best selection of baked potatoes, or simply some waffle fries dipped in cheese. Well, now that Quad City favorite is even easier to get. Download the Hungry Hobo app today. Order ahead, skip the line, and earn rewards all at the same time. There's Double Points Monday and exclusive specials as well. With 12 locations in the Quad City area, it's Hungry Hobo. Now even easier to find, but still hard to resist.
Rafferty Funeral Home, dedicated to serving families in the Quad Cities since 2007.
Hi, welcome. Here, come on in.
An experienced staff plans each service to reflect the unique life and legacy of your loved one. Rafferty Funeral Home is proud to serve our community with dignity, respect, and compassion, helping you to celebrate your traditions and lasting memories no matter your faith, culture, or budget. Rafferty Funeral Home in Moline. Call today to discuss prearrangements.
When it comes to quality, convenient pizza, Godfather's Pizza in Silvis has you covered. Featuring a beautiful dine-in area, delivery, and a carry-out window. Godfather's Pizza is that pizza you grew up with, not a convenience store. You see, at Godfather's Pizza, the dough is made fresh daily. That mozzarella cheese is shredded fresh and never frozen. And those toppings are abundantly piled high each and every time. Locally owned and operated since 2010, Godfather's is a huge supporter of local athletes right here in the Quad Cities. So come on by and check them out at 1211 Avenue of the Cities in Silvis. Order online at godfathers.com and reunite with that same delicious pizza you grew up with. Welcome back to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Monday in the Quad Cities. We started last week with our Off the Air high school football previews. Each day on the show, we're going to preview and chat with a coach from the Iowa and Illinois side of the river as we get ready for the high school football season that is now less than 3 weeks away. It's coming fast. In Illinois, they open up practice today, and that's where this young man, my good friend Fritz Dieudonne, will be entering year number 3 with the Rock Island Rocks. So let's talk Rocks. First and foremost, welcome to the opening day of practice. It comes quick every year, doesn't it?
It is insanely fast. It's like we start, usually that first school's out on the 3rd. We're on the field the 4th or the 5th, and even my wife is like, give the boys a break, and I try to say we're gonna blink and we're gonna be in August,
Yeah.
And then this summer, um, the challenge of trying to adjust your calendar because we lost days for contact days, um, which for us it didn't impact me that much because I've never used all 25 contact days. We usually were sitting around 22, 23. There's always at least a day or two that's rained out, and I try to leave myself some room to reschedule something. But having 20 this year, it definitely even made it feel even more accelerated and fast that we're already here.
We are here, and you're here to year number 3 at Rock Island, and I've talked to you the whole time, and I've been part of the process and watching, and you know what it's like when you're first getting someplace, and then some familiarity that second year. But I think it's you're a coach, I'm not, but I feel like year 3 is where things really set in, get comfortable. You're everything's in place. Kind of talk to that. Do you feel like right now, going into year 3, everything is kind of where you want it when it comes to culture, when it comes to, not just the X's and O's, but just what your program is all about?
Yeah, and I've learned to try to always put disclaimers when I start comparing year to year, right?
Yeah.
That to make sure that nothing is meant to sound negative, either Coach Hammer, who I replace, or the players that I've had these first 2 years. But in essence, this group, it's pretty much all my guys. My seniors were freshmen, obviously, Coach Hammer's last year. But they've now spent more time with me than they did with Ben Hammer, right? So their buy-in, their understanding of how we practice, their understanding on the coaching staff, they might as well have been with me all 4 of their years, just because it was such, especially the way our conference sets it up. By the time they were sophomores and they start playing varsity football, I was their head coach. So this summer we've had a blast because the attitude in the comfort between coaches and players, we're all speaking a language now that is no longer foreign. The assignments, when it comes to even our practice schedule, we've adjusted the practice schedule where we go a little faster now. I've really changed it to we are closer to what I would have experienced as a collegiate player. Smaller segments, we our indie periods, and this is again really in response to what the coaches felt they needed, what the players felt they needed. I try to do my very best to get input and things that I can adjust to, then I will, right? And that's one of those where that's really how you get buy-in when it comes to culture, and whether it's on a football team or in C-suite at a small business or a large corporation, is that if the people that you're working with feel like they're heard and their suggestions are implemented, they're going to work that much harder to make sure that their idea works. So we really revamped how we practice this year. But some of the things we dealt with the first 2 years in terms of pace and expectation, we didn't have to do that this year because, again, every player in that system right now, all their varsity experience has been with me as their head coach.
No, absolutely. Coach, when you look at it too, you get a group of seniors that come in, and you mentioned their familiarity with you. You did graduate a talented senior class. What are these seniors, excited to do? Because I know that's one thing we've talked about. It's the seniors that set the pace and kind of set the tone for a season. Talk about this senior class, your expectations from them as they get ready for maybe leading a team at Rock Island.
Yeah, the last year's group was insanely talented, but last year's group was also the group that had a weird high school career. They were the COVID babies that had disrupted football seasons, and you play in the spring, you turn around and play in the fall. Um, Disruption to their academic schedule on when we were in class versus virtual. Um, so and they were dealing just when things started getting normal for them. They lose their head coach, and I come in as they're juniors, and we're trying to graduate a senior group, trying to make sure they have the best possible year they can. And so it's one of those groups where they're talented. They did, considering all the extra stuff that they had to deal with. They did a great job. Really playing for one another, um, even with all the craziness, right? Even with just trying to deal with our successes and our failures. Um, where now my current seniors, that group, I think for them, their chip on their shoulder has been, they've been playing catch up to the 24 seniors that we just graduated. That was the class in front of them that had all the talent. This group, they truly like each other. They'll hang out with each other off the field. The camaraderie is there. Guys being able to their willingness to be coached jumps off the page. And for us, what we've tried to ask them to do, really in terms of trying to lead this group, is if they can stay within, don't do any more or less than what your job is, right? It's setting that example, trying to play within structure. To me, if I can get the juniors and sophomores behind them to follow that, because they do a great job with that.
Coach, you look at it, and you look at this team, and you've had a great summer. You love the kids' attitudes. What are you seeing on the field? What are the X's and O's? Where are the strengths maybe of this year's Rock Island football team as you guys, begin that practice stretch to opening week here just less than 3 weeks away?
Yeah, it's going to be offensively, Miles Deuster's taking over. Last year we teased Javion Clark-Pugh a little bit because, Deuster started the Galesburg game last year, and got Juice finished it, but the win actually goes to Deuster as the quarterback of record. His processing speed right now is just insane, and that's the part for me that I'm giddy about, and that's what, again, from my last answer, where we're trying to get them to just stay within what they do best, right? And it's trying to make Deuster realize, like, I don't need him to scramble and try to do the athletic stuff Juice used to do, right? I need his superpower is pre-snap read, post-snap read, make a decision, get the ball out. And he does that really well. And us making sure that the guys around him understand that football's coming out. You have to be ready to go. And so we've challenged them this year in making sure that this summer that, we've done some segments where it is all tempo. I've had, play callers, both the offense and defensive guys, calling plays during practice, mad at me because I make it as challenging of a scenario as possible. Whether it's giving them timeouts or not giving them timeouts, randomly, we're sharing players, so, Coach Brooks at one point, my D coordinator, his backup safety's running offense. And I say that the safety that's on the field got hurt. And he's like, what do you want me to do? I'm like, Coach, you got to figure it out. Where we've challenged each other to really try to make the kids think at a pace and make the coaches also think at a pace that's chaotic during the summer, in the hopes that once we get on the field here on the 29th, it slows down for them.
You mentioned Coach Brooks. I just watched him in an amazing IFL game on Saturday.
Yeah.
Took the boys down there. He's been doing great things with the Wheelers, but defensively, and I don't get myself in trouble. You mentioned getting in trouble, but defense had been an issue at Rock Island for some time, and it's gotten better. Over the last couple years. What do you see defensively? And you mentioned Coach Brooks and the things that he does as well, and his energy is awesome. But what do you see on that side of the football as Rock Island continues to get better and better on the defensive side of the football?
Yeah, the thing with Brooks this offseason, I'll back up. So in 2019, when I became the defensive coordinator, for Rocky, Brooks was like my right-hand man. He was our JV play caller. And, I knew when I came back, I was comfortable with him being the defensive coordinator. Now, where I tied his hands was that I told him, but I needed him to run the same scheme that I ran because I knew he understood it, and I truly believe in it, and it fits our players. And then this off season, when the season got done, I told every coach that everything was on the table. And then I told Brooks that I was going to give him an opportunity. I didn't need a quick answer. I needed him to step back, evaluate what we're doing on defense, and if he wanted to change and to do a scheme that he wanted to do, that I was open to it, because I do, although he was familiar with the scheme, it was still what I ran, and I gave him the opportunity to change it if he saw fit. And to his credit, he took about 2.5 weeks or so and came back. He says, "No, I don't think we need to switch it." That he still believes in what we're doing, because we do see the benefit of just allowing our kids to be kids when it comes to we have very strict rules. They got one area to look at, and we're asking them to play as fast as possible. So that was a piece for me so I spent this offseason also, showing up on game days to help him. I worked for him all offseason during the IFL schedule.
Oh, nice.
I was in I couldn't go back to coaching full time. I just didn't have the bandwidth to do so. But on home games, and then I did take the trip to Iowa, but I was in the box trying to help him as much as I can during the week. We talk football as he tries to figure out really how to deal with everything he was seeing week to week. So that, I think, definitely is even going to help us back on the field here, because it really did feel like what we did, 2019 and that 2020 year, where me and him would talk, 3-4 times a week just about adjustments and scheme. So I'm excited to see of what he's learned being the defensive coordinator with the indoor game, that energy, the creativity, how he continues to make this defense his own, And then really, honestly, the biggest change for us scheme-wise, and when I told them everything was on the table, I was true to my word, is that I've turned over the offensive play calling. I've got Coach Anthony Reese. He's stepping into that role. And really for us, the challenge was we didn't want to tear everything down. It wasn't a matter of the plays we were calling, but I had too many blind spots, I felt, right,
Sure.
during the games, trying to manage the game and be a play caller and to deal with everything else. that
To people at the Western Big Six, I'm really getting into this football stuff right now. It's August, and you hear about a talented UT team and what Moline has back, and Sterling's always Sterling, and what's Quincy, and then eventually gets to Rock Island. What are your expectations when it comes to those kind of things, and maybe do the kids hear or listen to not the fact that they're just not focused on, I guess, when it comes to people talking about the Western Big Six right off the bat.
Yeah. At the end of the year when I did my my eval with Coach Emmendorfer, he asked me what I felt about the program, where we were. And I told him how, I watch a ton of home renovation shows, right? I said I felt like I just spent 2 years and about 40 in a space where we can be successful and be successful in the right way, both in the hallway, in the classroom, in the community, on the field, and the struggle for me though is that the neighbors, the community, are like, God, they've been in that house for 2 years and they haven't done a thing to the outside. The people that are near the program, the players, the coaches, the families, they see the change that have occurred in these 2 years, right? And the thing that I do love about Rock Island, the city, the school, every sports team we have, which was something that I pride myself for during my 2 years. We never went into a game scared. We had 27 kids, and that's Rock Island, right? Whether we are the most talented team in the Big Six or we're not, Rock Island's going to show up with this attitude, with this chip on the shoulder that we are the town. And at times I've challenged the kids in helping them to understand that just being the town is not always good enough. The attitude, the belief in themselves about the fact that this Crimson and Gold and the RI and the history of our program, and we are, I remember we've talked this over the years in cities because we have got all these legacy programs. And the fact that when people talk about this generation not knowing or honoring the past, when it comes to athletics, I would imagine, every Allman kid has heard about the great Allman teams. Every Moline team has heard about the Plowboys. The Rock Island kids grew up hearing about Coach Boblet, hearing about, Shorty Almquist. And that's the piece for me where our expectations, and what I try to get them to focus on is our expectations are still going to be higher than anybody on the outside, because we see how hard we've worked. You see the talent, right? And it's the challenge for us is, can we put it all together from start to finish? Can we deal with the adversity? Can we deal with injuries and everything that can railroad a season? When I used to call defenses, I used to tell the kids all the time, make me right? And I used to give my linebackers the freedom of, if I call a blitz and they come out in something that you're like, I don't know if this, I'm like, I always gave them the ability to audible on defense. I'd say, if you don't like it, and we had a standard call. And what's funny, this summer, I had a couple of linebackers, a couple of the young guys were struggling to set the defense. And I explained to them how we've got 2 new coaches on the freshman staff that had played for us, played for me when I called the defense, and, Calvin Larson and Xander George. I say, I can bring them down right now, and they would still tell you that the default call, they can tell you what the default call in the defense is, because it hasn't changed. And but it was just young guys, timid to call something different than what was signaled, right? Um, that for expectations, I think for us, it's this balancing act of understanding that we are a legacy program, but the RI alone is not going to win a ball game. But the toughness that we play, how we execute our plays, with the goal of trying to measure up to the legacy of this program is what we want. Is can you play and make yourself worthy to actually have the RI on your helmet and represent the history of this program. And for us, it is we're not quitting. We are going to overcome and adapt anything that you throw at us. And I'm okay with results if I feel like the kids actually performed to their best.
Absolutely. Coach, I want to talk to you a few more things before I let you go. One is September 26th. It'll be the Battle of Rocktown for the first time in a little while. Alleman and Rock Island. And that's the Battle of Fritz, I guess. They can rename it if they want to. The last time there was a varsity team, you were the head coach over at Alleman. What's that game going to be like personally for you, and knowing the journey you went through at Alleman and nothing but good things to say about Alleman and your time there, and then them being back? I know you're excited that they're back and happy that Alleman is back. Kind of what will September 26th be like for you?
Honestly, I'm hoping, and this is gonna sound way more selfish than I intended to sound. I'm hoping that this season will prove that we made the right decision. Almost 3 years ago. At the end of my second year there, it was a difficult decision to say we need to hit pause on varsity football because the numbers just weren't there. We were graduating. Really that last group, Charles's group, was one of the last groups that had players that were physically could have played varsity football for any other team in the Big Six. Bowker, Torres, and Charles, even Vandy, Quinn Fonseca. You had guys that had enough varsity snaps that if we had plucked them and put them at Moline or at Rocky or Geneseo, they could have survived. The group behind them, all of a sudden, the varsity snaps, like the number of snaps just plummeted because they were just so young. That we made that decision, myself and the administrators at the time, and looking at the fact that we were that 2023 year was going to be a year where you had more freshmen and sophomores than you had juniors and seniors on that roster. And so I'm hoping that those 2 years to give the program a chance to develop these young men, to give them a chance to have some success with a JV schedule and to build some confidence, build their bodies, that this year for them would have made it worth the 2 years that building and that program, that historic program had to go through, because I will still tell you that I think that was the best decision we could have made for the health and safety of those young men. I can tell you when we announced that, the people that were the most upset with me and Mr. Vanetta at the time were the people that didn't have kids on the field. The families that were all in for Alleman, that wanted to do anything they can to save their school and to continue this turnaround, were also terrified seeing their freshman sons on the field playing a varsity football game, or even their sophomore sons trying to play a varsity football game. And then not only were they would be young, but the sheer number on the roster meant you had freshmen and sophomores that would have to play both ways. And it just um, wasn't an easy decision. But I look forward to seeing Alleman back playing varsity football, and hopefully those 2 years would get them those precious snaps and experience that they need to be able to compete in a tough conference.
You mentioned one of those players on your last team there, and Charles Jugosol. Coach, he's going to play on Sundays someday. I think we both know that. Obviously down with an injury right now. One of the most genuine young men I've ever met. Came back. He's been playing in my dad's golf outing for 2 years and making a big effort to go back and doing it. And he's just what he did last year. And we talked last year when he was having success on the show. You came on and we talked about, the playoff run. I know we can talk all day about Charles, but I just wanted to ask you and talk to you about that young man continues to make Alleman proud, the Quad Cities proud. I know yourself proud. He's going to get healthy and make some big impact this year, I believe.
Yeah, and I try. I hope I'm doing it right with Charles. I try to I reach out to him very infrequently because I do know how taxing it is to be Charles Jagusah, Notre Dame football player. And the amount of people that are pulling and asking for questions and comments and can you do this, can you do that? But I've had people close to him, it's like, oh, thank you, coach, for what you've done for Charles, and it comes off like I'm trying to be extra humble, but I really am not. I've thanked them for the journey that Charles has taken me on, right? Because the reality is I've been able to experience, the All-American game. We fly out to San Antonio, my wife and I, to go support him at the All-American game. We now, my weekend during the football season, thankfully, every time I'm just about to get in trouble for being too busy, the last 2 years we've had a Notre Dame game to go to that, we'll wake up early on a Saturday morning after we play here on a Friday night. Me and her go down to South Bend, watch a game and just stay overnight and make a weekend out of it.
Yeah.
And, I had to laugh, like, just to tell you how ingrained this journey has been to my family and I. Watching the Colts game the other night, and Leonard goes in the game, and Steph, who doesn't care for football, she's like, "Oh, is that Ryan Leonard from Notre Dame?" And I looked at her shocked that that she recognized that that's who that was. And then she had to take a jab at me to tell me, how he got engaged and he was only dating his girl for like 2 years. And, it took me 7 before we got married. So she did take the shot.
There you go.
But it's been this journey of the fact that I'm so proud of him. I'm so proud of the way he's handled everything that's been thrown at him. I am so blessed to have been at the right place at the right time when it came to being at Alleman and trying to help him navigate this national recruiting thing that he went through. And I make sure I go out of my way to never take credit for anything that young man does, because he fully has earned everything he's gotten when it comes to his hard work, his humility, his approach, his brilliance, that him and his family they've taken me on a journey here that, I'll forever be Charles Jaggersaw's coach. And I thank them for it.
Absolutely. That's not a bad thing to be, for sure. Well, Coach, I've enjoyed the conversation. I'm excited to watch Rock Island this year. I want to thank you as well. We kind of talked about it before we started, but you're one of those – I thank you for your friendship, because you're one of those guys last year in the fall that I was – thinking of doing something different, and I think it was even a practice, and you got a lot of things to deal with on a hot day with kids running everywhere, and here I am like, hey, Coach, I want to talk to you for a second. And you did. You gave me that time. You chatted with me. I appreciate you. I appreciate your encouragement. I appreciate your friendship. I can't wait to see the Rocks do good things this year. I can't wait for September 26th. It's going to be fun. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So thank you for your time and your friendship, and best of luck this year, my man.
I appreciate it, man. Take care.
All right. That is Fritz Dieudonne, head coach over at Rock Island, as we continue our previews. High school football season, 2 weeks from Friday is when it begins, right around the corner. Up next, we're going to continue those previews. We're going to hop over the bridge, going to go over the Centennial Bridge, really, and we're going to chat with Alex Berg and check in with the Davenport Central Blue Devils. All that and much more. It's a Monday edition of Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. We'll be right back.
Hello, Dan Pearson here of FCA. Our team is thrilled to support Off the Air with our good friend Matt Randazzo. We share the view of the power of sport when it comes to relationships, including the influence of the coach. FCA believes the coach is the most influential person in America. Matt celebrates local coaches and athletes. His content is informational, insightful, and inspirational. Our Fellowship of Christian Athlete team loves partnering with Off the Air with Matt Randazzo while we engage, equip, and empower coaches and athletes in our 23 counties. FCA, the heart and soul in sports.
View from the West, the podcast covering Illinois high school football.
It's going to be a hard-hitting game. It's going to be great football.
Weekly analysis and reaction from around the western side of the state of Illinois.
This is the game we had circled when the year started.
Follow along on YouTube and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.
It's big-time football out there tonight, and I know we can play big-time football.
View from the West. We got you covered.
Are you looking for the Quad City's best chips and salsa? There's only one dude to turn to.
Right on.
Snoop. Hand-cut chips, fried fresh with that crunch you've come to love. And the most addicting salsa with delicious fresh ingredients each and every time. Pick up your chips and salsa, queso, enchiladas, and much more at the Stern Center in Rock Island. To place your order, simply call the man himself. It's Snoop at 309-314-8197 and find out for yourself what the rest of the Quad Cities already loves. Are you looking to take your next party, tailgate, or golf outing to the next level? You need Mobile Party Experience. MPX features 3 top-of-the-line party trailers equipped with all the amenities you need to party like a rock star. Smart TVs, Yeti coolers, JBL sound systems, grills, bathrooms, and much more. Mobile Party Experience is an experience like no other. Check out my-mpx.com or call 563-514-1470 and book your Mobile Party Experience today. Welcome back to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Monday in the Quad Cities. High school football season right around the corner. We've been talking a lot about it. We started our previews last week. We're going to continue them right up until the first Friday of the high school football season. And we're going to turn our attention to the Iowa side of the river as well. 2 Davenport coaches last week. We caught up with Assumption's Nate Gilbreth and Davenport North's Adam Height last week. And we'll continue our tour around the city city of Davenport by catching up with our good friend Alex Berg. First and foremost, thank you for doing this, but I'm a little mad at you right now because like I was feeling okay about myself these days, and now with the sleeves off, like now I look like you look good. You look good as always. Oh, look at that!
Hey, thanks, man.
I love it. I love it.
It's funny. I don't know. I got this from my dad. My dad still to this day wears these, but if I could do it at school, I would. But every day I practice, like all the coaches give me some stuff for it. But cutoffs, man, I just like the feel of it. It's not anything about that. I just enjoy wearing them.
Yeah, sun's out, guns out. I get it. I love it. Before we get rolling, and I know football season officially here, how was the summer? How was things at Davenport Central when it comes to that off season? Because I think people, and I think they know by now, but it's not just flipping a switch and like, oh, football season's here. What was the off season like at Davenport Central for the Blue Devils as they get ready for this season?
I thought it was pretty good. I mean, every year, this is going on year 4. Every year in the off season, we have building blocks and some things that we try to work on. Academics was year 1. We kind of got that under control. Weight room was the next step, and having our kids weigh in every week and, getting more buy-in and more people into the weight room and checking progress, I think has been good. And then really our step this last off season was leadership. I think we did a really good job of focusing and pushing our guys to become better leaders, maybe putting guys in situations that they normally wouldn't be in and teaching life lessons to our guys. Our defensive coordinator, Zach Waggle, he's a history teacher at Central too, just did an incredible job and made some curriculum from some books, some leadership books. And during some classes, we took some time and taught our guys, we're trying to build a championship culture. This is what it looks like. This is where we're at. Now let's talk about how we get there, and having not just lectures, but open-ended discussions. And I think that was really good. And then, some are staying busy. I mean, trying to do as much as we can with the guys, bowling, swimming. We tried a new team camp this year. We went up to Upper Iowa. We even got hooked up with a Chicago suburb team, Maine West, and did a scrimmage at Augustana, actually with Rocky as well. But yeah, I mean, busy, but, loving it. My wife jokes that she says sometimes that the off season, you're actually probably busier as a coach than you are during the season. But it was good. It was a lot of fun. And I think that we definitely made some growth.
I want to, before we start talking this season and X and O's, I want to, the year 4 stuff. And I've really enjoyed watching your program grow. And you mentioned culture. I'm a culture guy. Dan Campbell's sitting on he's a bobblehead here. It's all about culture, that kind of stuff. Talk about that, because, and what I love is you look at your staff and like, I start feeling old because I'm like, I covered him at Central. And then a few years later, he was probably at Central, and talk about the culture. And it's a buy-in, not just from the kids, but it's yourself, the staff. I love the environment and the vibe every time I come over to Davenport Central.
Yeah, and I think what has a lot to do with it is continuity. I think that, we have had a pretty solid staff since I started that is still there, like a common core. And then honestly, I've just kind of been adding some pieces from that. I mean, what the cool thing is like we have guys that like I used to coach, like Garrett Humphreys is on our squad. Brady West came over from North, which I thought was kind of cool. Just 2 years ago. And then, obviously we have Julian Vandervelde, who, was a NFL player and then went to Central and is super diehard Blue. But, we have a couple guys from Rock Island that went to Rock Island, like just covering kind of the QC in general. And I think the thing is like, we don't have and it's not a knockoff, and it's fine if people do it, but we don't have a year-to-year theme. Like, certain programs like, hey, here's our theme, this year, and then this year it's this, which is great. But we before me isn't going anywhere. And we stated that since day one. And I think that every single year our staff shows it, by, again, we're going to do what's best for the program and not for ourselves. And I think it rubs off on the kids. And I think more and more, it's really cool to see like the light bulb moment with some of our kids where, maybe being a little selfish, and then with some time, they kind of see the big picture as to why we preach what we preach. And I mean, it's been really cool to see, like some kids come in as freshmen and like by the time they get to be a senior, they're leading the pack and they're even calling kids out and like, hey, that's not we before me, And then we even came 2 years ago with our 3 pillars off of that, which is character, consistency, and commitment, our 3 C's. So, I got rocking some wristbands with them on there. But yeah, I mean, I think before, obviously we want to win and compete and we're continuing to push in that right direction. But yeah, like culture, you saw Dan Campbell, like his first couple of years, what he had to go through over there. And I just watched the documentary, the quarterback one, which was really cool seeing Jared Goff in there, and just kind of seeing like the things they went through and that you just keep going at it. You keep sticking with it. And, you hope and pray that through hard work and determination, like don't change your morals, that good things are going to happen.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You mentioned my guy Julian. And we kind of talked before we started. I covered Julian, and I wish everyone had as much energy and zest for life as my guy Julian does, and your guy Julian does. That has to itself, and plus you're telling the kids like it might not look like it now. No offense, Julian, I love you, but like that dude played at the highest level. Like that has to resonate with the kids when you're looking at a former Hawk guy, former All Big Ten guy, former NFL guy.
Well, like the coolest part about it is like he is honestly like one of the most humble people that I know. And like, so I know Juice, like me and him coached together at the sophomore level for like 3 or 4 years. Cause I've been coaching at Central for 10 years. So like we go way back and it's incredible the things that he does. And how responsive the kids are to him, obviously like really, really tight with his offensive line, which is obviously understandable, but like anybody on the team, and what I say to our staff and to the kids is like, this guy could be as cocky as he wanted to be because like, but you have to really pry to like ask him. Like, I remember we bunked together once as a coaching clinic. And I was like, dude, like, tell me like about Jason Kelsey and like, wait, you were on the same field as Mike Vick. Andy Reid was your coach. Like, give me some stories, dude,
right?
And he's so humble, which is really, really cool. Like, yeah, if you ask him, he'll tell you. But like, and I think that rubs on our staff and our team and our program because it's like you got a guy that played at the highest level, but he's still working his tail off for us. Like, we need to do the same thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And if he cares, then you should care, right? It's one of those things as well. And he also made the Score Grill very, very famous by lighting it on fire a couple years ago, which was always nice. Alex Berg joining me right now from Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. Coach, let's look at this year's Blue Devils. Kind of what excites you about this team? What are some of the strengths of this team as you guys get ready to rock and roll in less than 3 weeks?
Yeah, I mean, one thing that we're really excited about is I feel like we have probably the most amount of skill players in regards to like talent level and just being explosive and making plays. Like we have an abundance of them where it's going to be hard to game plan for, which is really cool to see. And the nice thing about that is a lot of them do play on both sides of the ball. So being able to spell either way is fine because we have that depth. I would say depth-wise at the skill position is really good. I mean, we have 25 seniors, which last year I think we had 11, so we teetered there. So we have 25 seniors, and a lot of those guys played last year, so a lot of them have experience. But I mean, we're at a roster of 50, so that's half. So we still have 25 underclassmen that also like, I think can give us something. So again, like really, really excited, like what could happen at the skill position. I mean, we have Gio Hayslett, who is a returning running back and corner. We also have Beckham Hutchison, who I think is going to make some noise at running back and outside linebacker. I mean, receiver wise, we have Cam Tate, we have Messiah Johnson, we have Alex Ingram, who's transitioning from running back to receiver. We have TK Morrison, Jason Sampika, Isaac Hendricks. Like I'm naming off and listing a lot of guys, right? And when you have, and not to mention, we transitioned our quarterback last year. He's now playing tight end and middle linebacker, Marcus Burton, and he is about 6'2", 225, and his bowling ball really hard to take down. So talk about a we before me move, moving from quarterback, you know, where you get the ball every play to a different position, but he's been great with it and has been one of our team leaders, and just, again, excited about what we can do if we get the ball out in space. Good things can happen.
You mentioned like the weapons. Who gets to control those weapons? Who's in charge of getting those weapons, those football? What does it look like at quarterback for Central this year?
So quarterback, we did, in moving Marcus, like I said, we before me move. I think that we thought it was best for our team as a whole, for him to go there because he could help us in so many different ways, playing two positions, O and D. We had a battle all summer amongst three quarterbacks, two going to be juniors and one senior. And ultimately, Jaleel Tony Walker won the job as of for now. So junior, right? Young, never taken a varsity snap before. So like we know, having coached football for a long time, I've coordinated at multiple levels, including the varsity level. Now, head coach for a couple of years, like, that there are going to be some growing pains, right? Like that just happens no matter where you're at. Whether you start as a sophomore, junior, or senior, your first snaps playing one of the hardest positions in football is going to take some time. But he's been a really good leader for us. And I think the guys have rallied around him, which always helps, right? So excited to see what he can do. He can run too. So that helps our offense in regards to certain plays that we call up where he can not only throw but use his legs as well.
You look at the season as a whole, and I don't know, things change on the Iowa side, district-wise, all those kind of things, but I don't know what you did to who, but that district is daunting, and to be the best, you got to beat the best, all those kind of things. When you look, and it's one of those things, and people do that with, well, I always like to reference my Lions. Hey, the schedule's really tough. Well, they don't care because they take one game at a time. And it's not like they look at the big pie and say, we got to go through that. Kind of talk about that because, yes, it's a challenging district with some really good names on it, but it's not about that. It's one game at a time, isn't it?
Oh, 100%. And I think like it's also kind of too like we always chunk the season up in thirds. Like, like if we want to talk, well, we go one game at a time, but if we want to talk like big picture, right? Yeah. Like, all right, hey guys, like we got this third of the season, like games 1, 2, and 3. Then we got games 4, 5, and 6. Then we got games 7, 8, 9. And with how we start, definitely, I think isn't as daunting as our district. Definitely games I think we can compete in and have a shot for sure to get some wins. But yeah, it's 100% one game at a time. And this goes to all the way up top to the NFL and all the way down to high school football. Injuries happen, right? On either side, right? Mm-hmm. Injuries happen, which can drastically affect a team, right? And, David and Goliath, I mean, we say that all the time. Like, it just takes one time, right? We're not going to play this team 20 times, right? This isn't a basketball team where we have 46 games and you play a team twice, sometimes maybe 3 times in the playoffs. Like, it is one time. So we need to give it everything we got for one game. And again, we don't back down. We're going to work our tails off and do what we can. But our biggest thing that we need to improve on is, like I said, our core values: character, commitment, and consistency. And you can ask the guys when they come down, the stations will come down and record the kids, at practice. Like they'll know because we've nailed it in the head as a coaching staff. Is consistency. Yeah. There's times where we look really good, and there's times where we look really bad, and it's one of those things where it's like, man, which way is this season going to roll? Our guys, we just have to be consistent at even just doing the little things and doing things right. If we do that, and if we strive to keep doing that, like some really cool things could happen this year. But the guys, like if we don't, I mean, the ball's in your court. Like, what do we want to do with this?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Alex Berg joining me right now and off there with Matt Randazzo. Coach, we talked with So we talked before we started about rivalries. We did a show a little back about the best rivalries in the Illinois side of the Quad Cities, and I was going to eventually do one on Iowa, and I think I'm still going to, but the season got here quicker than I expected. But there are great rivalries on that side, and I think one of the better ones is and it's not just one, is the Davenport rivalry and the city. I work with Brian Stocking. I worked with Brian Stocking, and gosh, he loves those kind of games, and they're really good. What is it about and they're not district games this year right now, but like that's almost even cooler because like you have a big chunk of district games, and then even your non-district games, gosh, it's west, it's north. Talk about the rivalry in the city. And I know it's competitive, and I think when it's just a different vibe at Brady Street Stadium when those schools get together.
Oh, like it doesn't matter if both teams haven't won a game all year or if both teams are undefeated. I think the same environment's going to be created, right? And I saw Coach Heights last week, and he referenced it, and I was like, thought about it. I was like, I do remember that. When we played North last year, there was a line at the gate when the game started. Like people were still trickling into the first quarter.
Yeah.
I remember our AD, Kevin Peterson, told me like that was like it broke records in regards to attendance for like, I don't know if it was like of the year or for a couple years, but like that was really cool to see. And like, when we played West last year, like, I mean, down to the last snap. And yeah, I think, well, the coolest thing is these guys all like, it's not they all know each other.
Yeah.
Right. Like some of them live in the same neighborhood or grew up together. Some went to school together, and like but now they're competing against each other in another sport from another school. So that part, like that's never going to die in regards to like people, the kids always get hyped up for these games. And sometimes I think, nerves sometimes are a little bit higher for these games for the kids, and it takes them a little bit like, hey man, you guys just got to calm down. Like this is just another game, but like it means a lot to them. And I guess if that can't hype you up, I don't know what wouldn't hype you up. You know what I mean? Like we get excited for it every year. We play either of them. And like you said, neither are district this year, but it's still cool to say that you're a city champ. And, we haven't been in a while. So like, that's something like every year we strive to work at to get. So yeah, they're definitely exciting. And like, if I ever slip up on anything, I'll just ask Stocking because he knows all the stats about that.
He knows. So Stocking has like Stocking's gold. He also has fool's gold sometimes. You got to be careful. It's be like he'll come up with the stat and he'll be like, I feel like he's like, Central is undefeated when scoring more than their opponent. And I'm like, well, that's not a stat. That's an obvious. Not that he's ever said that, but just in general, you got to be careful. There's fool's gold. He's going to text me when he hears this and be mad at me. But before I let you go, I talked with Rusty Van Wetzing about him last week, and I think it's cool because he's a Quad City guy at a Division I level doing fantastic stuff. I'm talking about Matt Drinkle at Central Michigan, and his umbrella or his tree is his influence in the Quad Cities is all over the place, and that's somebody that you played for, I think you said, and you're still very close with and all those kind of things. Matt Drinkle is going to do good things at Central Michigan, and he's somebody that's very important to you as well, isn't he?
Yeah, he really is. I mean, like, so when I got this job 4 years ago, like he was one of my letters of rec, just to show like how. So I played at Ambrose 09 to 13, and my last 3 years there, he was our offensive line coach. He went from like receivers to offensive line, and then he was also our offensive coordinator. And I stayed in tune with him ever since I left. He's probably one of the most influential coaches I've ever had, if not the most influential coach I've ever had. Just was a player's coach, right? Just like great at building relationships, but also like demanding. And I said, I want to be like him one day. And I think he was part of the reason why, it entered my drive for continuing to coach. And, then he went to Kansas Wesleyan, stayed on top with him with that, talked a lot of offense with him because he's a great offensive minded guy. And I love talking offensive ball. Then, talked to him, knew, to be honest with you, that he was going to get the Army job before he did. And then climbed the ladder up in Army, which was really cool to see. So my dad is a Army guy. He served in the military for years, and we were this close. He was like, we were actually Drinkle said, if you guys ever want to come to a West Point game, like just let me know. But we never did. I wish we would have been a really cool experience. We talked about it, but it's just hard being a football coach and going to football games. Yeah. And then, the Central Michigan thing, like right away, just texting him and, we're texting back and forth. And we probably do communicate phone or text at least once every few months. And it might just be as simple as like a funny joke or something. But me and my two other friends that are they're coaches back in the Chicago suburbs, like we all stay in contact. We drink a lot. And he's blessed so many people. And I'm sure like the way I talk about him, like probably every single person he's coached all the way from the days where he was like a GA at Iowa, like I'm sure feel the same way about him just because that's just the kind of person that he is. So I know he's going to make some noise there and excited, hopefully like make it up to a game, you know, when our season's over, if not go in the spring to watch him with spring ball, but that would be really cool. I'm rooting for him. I'm kind of a CMU fan a little bit now.
Yeah.
Have to be.
No, I got to know him a little
Chippewas.
bit. Yeah, I got to know him a little bit when he was on the show, and I just kind of told you before we started, I'm going to we go to Detroit every year for a game, and it's like an hour and 15 minutes, like northwest of Detroit, and I'm like, that would be a freaking really cool weekend, and I like to try to be a really cool dad. I have my deficiencies, so I got to try to do what I can. So to go to a Central Michigan game and then sneak down to Detroit to check out the Lions would be a fantastic weekend. Well, Coach Berg, I always enjoy your time. I'm excited to see you guys and what you do. I'm going to have to bug Julian and get him back on the show. He's been on here every so often. I gotta get him back on, and I got to do some food segments with Julian. I think like that's what I need to add to the show next is like a cooking with Julian every like Wednesday or something like that. I think would work. So, but I appreciate you. We started off with a flex. One more flex before we go. Give me one more. There it is. They're ready to flex their muscle over at Davenport Central. And if you're listening to this on the podcast form, you gotta go check out the video because he's all ripped up and stuff. So, Coach, I appreciate you. Behave yourself, and we'll stay healthy. All those kind of things. We'll catch up with you real soon.
Thanks, Matt. Appreciate you, man.
All right, that is Alex Berg, the head coach of Davenport Central. It's really super exciting to think about it, but like football season's here. Like it is Friday, we're in Iowa City, college stuff all over the place. There's preseason games going on in the NFL. And as we mentioned, the high school season starting less than 3 weeks. And we're going to take the show on the road on Fridays in the fall as well, which is more on that to come. It's going to be a lot of fun. So we got more to get to on today's show. Off the Air with Matt Randazzo, a Monday edition. We'll be right back. All right, be honest. Are you craving Hungry Hobo again? You know, that fresh sliced meat piled high on those amazing sandwiches, hot off the grill chicken and steak with all those delicious toppings, the biggest and best selection of baked potatoes, or simply some waffle fries dipped in cheese. Well, now that Quad City favorite is even easier to get. Download the Hungry Hobo app today. Order ahead, skip the line, and earn rewards all at the same time. There's Double Points Monday and exclusive specials as well. With 12 locations in the Quad City area, it's Hungry Hobo. Now even easier to find, but still hard to resist.
Rafferty Funeral Home, dedicated to serving families in the Quad Cities since 2007.
Hi, welcome. Yeah, come on in.
An experienced staff plans each service to reflect the unique life and legacy of your loved one. Rafferty Funeral Home is proud to serve our community with dignity, respect, and compassion, helping you to celebrate your traditions and lasting memories no matter your faith, culture, or budget. Rafferty Funeral Home in Moline. Call today to discuss prearrangements.
When it comes to quality, convenient pizza, Godfather's Pizza in Silvis has you covered. Featuring a beautiful dine-in area, delivery, and a carry-out window. Godfather's Pizza is that pizza you grew up with, not a convenience store. You see, at Godfather's Pizza, the dough is made fresh daily. That mozzarella cheese is shredded fresh and never frozen. And those toppings are abundantly piled high each and every time. Locally owned and operated since 2010, Godfather's is a huge supporter of local athletes right here in the Quad Cities. So come on by and check them out at 1211 Avenue of the Cities in Silvis. Order online at godfathers.com and reunite with that same delicious pizza you grew up with. Welcome back to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Monday in the Quad Cities. Monday, August 11th. Thank you guys for joining us so far. It's been a good Monday, a full show on a Monday. We get to 2 hours here, which is a lot of fun. A lot of content, which is good or bad. I don't know if people want to watch the show for 2 hours, but it's that time of year. There's a lot of fun things going on when it comes to sports here in the Quad Cities, and of course, all over the state as well. Few things before I let you go. The AP Top 25 has been released. The Fighting Illini are at number 12 in that poll as well. Iowa State number 22 in the AP poll. So both matching where they were in the college coaches poll. And I think it's awesome. I'm on record as being excited for Brett Bielema and the Fighting Illini. I think it's going to be a fun season. The schedule is more difficult than people think, but love Cole Rusk, love Matthew Bailey. Really like Coach Bielema, rooting for the Illini this year. That is in light of my new position as the pregame coach pregame host for the Iowa Football Radio Network. So I will say this though, and it's all over Twitter. A good friend of mine, Father Joe Baker down in Champaign. I was texting with him this weekend. He kind of brought this up, like, when was the last time Illinois was ranked this high, how they did in the seasons in which they were ranked. So we kind of talked about it, and it's all over the social media right now. Not all over, but a few different places have it. Last time they were ranked in the AP Top 25 preseason was 2008. They were 20th in the preseason rankings. They finished unranked. In 2000. So they've only been ranked twice since 2000 in the preseason top 25. In 2000, they were number 21. They finished unranked. 1994, they started 21, unranked. 1990, they started 11th in the nation, and they finished 25th. 1989, they started 22nd, finished 10th. But then after that, 85, 64, 60, 56, 54, 52. All of those seasons they started in the AP Top 25, they finished unranked. So only 2 times in the last 11 times they were ranked in the preseason Top 25 have they finished ranked in the Top 25. So 9 of those 11 years, it's gone the wrong way. Now, I want to preference it with this. Sorry, I got something in my throat. I keep on coughing, but I want to preface it with this. I think Brett Bielema is different. I think what he's doing in Champaign is different. It's different than anything I've really seen in my lifetime. Yes, I go back to those 80s teams that were really good as well, so I'm not discrediting them, but especially since covering the Illini, it's a different vibe. I think he's doing things correctly. I think the floor is higher, if that makes any sense. I don't know what the ceiling is, but I think the floor has been raised immensely in Champaign. So intrigued to see what they do. Here's the other cool thing. Saw this during some of the commercial breaks. Week 1 of the college football season has number 1 Texas against number 3 Ohio State, number 4 Clemson versus number 9 LSU, and number 6 Notre Dame versus number 10 Miami. The first week of the college football season, and there's 3 top 10 matchups. It's going to be an amazing season. Excited about the Iowa Hawkeyes. Of course, we spent all of Friday in Iowa City doing our show there. Go check that show out. If you're an Iowa fan, you have to. It's great stuff. A lot of good interviews, all those kind of things. I think they're going to be good. I'm bullish on the Iowa Hawkeyes. I think Illinois is going to be good. I think Iowa State's going to have a good season. And then just in general, I mean, you look at here in the Quad City area, Notre Dame, number 6, Charles Jugosal is going to get healthy. He's going to make an impact on that team. Made an impact last year all the way up into the college football playoffs. So really excited, obviously, about what's to come with the college football season. Today's show, I want to thank Luke Johnson for joining me. Luke, a former Rockridge standout, now the defensive line coach at Colorado State. He's 28 years old. He's going to do great things in that business. He's already doing big things in that business. He grew up like 3 miles from my house. Now, I didn't live here at the time, but really cool to see that happening. So thank you to him for that, for joining the show. Our OTA high school football previews on the Illinois side, Fritz Dieudonne at Rock Island. If you missed it, go check it out. And on the Iowa side, Davenport Central and Alex Berg. So those were the high school football previews today. Coming up tomorrow, I don't know, but probably tomorrow, if not on Wednesday, Chad Leistico with the Des Moines Register talking Iowa football. I'm really excited about that. We'll continue our high school football previews throughout the entire week. And then we got to get caught up with Illinois and them being ranked 12, excuse me. So Jim Matson, their media days tomorrow. So maybe Jim Matson on Wednesday. I think that'd be a good idea. I'm planning my shows as I talk with you guys, but maybe Ked tomorrow. We got to get caught up on some Illini stuff as well. So excited about all that. Also, coming up this Sunday, August 17th, it's the View from the West kickoff party. We'll be doing this show with it kind of as well, like a joint show. So that'll be down at the Other Bar in Moline, 5 o'clock start. I'm really excited about it. Talk to some of our sponsors, and there's going to be some food there. Obviously, it's a bar. There's going to be some drinks. A lot of coaches on the Illinois side. So if you're interested, stop by the Other Bar this Sunday, 5 o'clock, live show. A lot of fun. It'll be simulcast on View from the West YouTube page, this YouTube page, Off the Air with Matt Randazzo YouTube page as well, and probably my X account. So lots of places you can see it live, but come join us, have a good time. Really excited about that show as well. So plenty to get to with that. With that being said, we may not have a Friday show because I got to get all this gear and go figure some things out at the Other Bar. And I'm planning on doing that probably Thursday night. So depending on everything, and we'll have a show on Sunday. So that'll be like the 5th show of the week will be on Sunday. So anyways, we'll let you know as we get later to that. As you can tell, I'm kind of doing things on the fly this week a little bit as well. But a really fun Monday show here on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. I want to thank you guys for watching. It's greatly appreciated. The feedback from last week's shows and Friday's show was awesome. So I appreciate that as well. And then while I'm thanking you guys for watching, I have to thank these sponsors. They're fantastic. Godfather's Pizza. I'm going to go hang out with Andy Furman this afternoon. I'm excited about that. Kevin Rafferty and Rafferty Funeral Home. Hungry Hobo. Awesome. Luke Johnson gave Hungry Hobo the shout out. The Quad City Steamwheelers, it was an awesome season. My kids are fans for life. I guarantee you that. And trust me, the amount of people that said to me, I'm going to get season tickets on Saturday night for next year was a lot. So that's really cool. Snoop's the man. Everybody knows that. And then Mobile Party Experience. Tim O'Neill and people at Mobile Party Experience. We're going to be starting some fun stuff coming up. Jeez, like 2 weeks from Friday. Some more stuff with them as well. So it was a lot of fun. Thank you guys for watching OTA on a Monday here in the Quad Cities. We'll be back with a brand new show coming up tomorrow.